AI, Privacy and Bias. Quite a while back, my wife and I gave to a certain charity. It wasn't long before we started receiving mailers from similar charities requesting our support. How did this happen? Charities raise funds in a number of ways, one of which is selling donor lists. If you make a donation, the charity has something besides cash that is valuable, namely your contact information. We gave it a donation of data. AI did not create data mining, but it does a better job of exploiting it. As we know, AI requires lots of data. You and I provide this data with the searches that we issue on Google or Bing, what we buy online, the movies we stream, and what we watch, like, comment, or contribute to on social media. In some cases, these can be removed. For instance, those in the European Union have the right to be forgotten, which compels data collectors to remove personal information on demand. However, a lot of data, much of it is not really personally identifiable, cannot be removed, but it can still target you. Anytime you enter a prompt into ChatGPT or Gemini, that data becomes part of the LLM and is used to further train it. This is a trade-off between one's personal privacy and the effectiveness of the AI to provide useful results and recommendations. There are some considerations that need to be made, however. First, there is the possibility that providing so much information leaves individuals open to manipulation by both commercial and ideological interests. The commercial interests are pretty obvious in both the initial recommendations they present for purchase and when they prompt for additional products based on what was initially selected. Ideological manipulation is also a concern. In a time when deep fakes are easily produced, where fake news is rampant, where there is a general distrust of authoritative sources of information, it is very easy to choose what is true based solely on what one wants to believe is true. Information that does not accord with this constructed reality is then simply dismissed. It is then easy to manipulate people if the mere appearance of what is real is just as real as what seems to be the case. How does this play out from an ethical framework? Starting with a libertarian perspective, one could argue that your personal information is yours to do with what you want. If you prefer to trade personal information for added convenience, then you should be free to do so. However, that same libertarian might wish to qualify this idea. One is free only insofar as one can do with what is one's own what one wants. Being manipulated infringes on self-ownership. Since the state is in the business of protecting ownership, it is empowered to regulate against such manipulation. The question then is, at what point does government oversight to ensure that such manipulation does not take place morph into overreach and is itself acting to manipulate its citizens? Utilitarians might well be split on this issue. If you lean in the direction of Bentham, your only concern is about how happy people are. If the general population is being manipulated, but it results in greater overall happiness, then there is no good reason not to be manipulated. However, Mill's view of both civil liberty and a hierarchy of pleasure would blanch at the idea of such manipulation and would insist on government regulation. With their positive view of liberty and their view of autonomy, Kant and Rawls would insist on putting a tight rein on the use of AI, even if the general welfare was not served. Since the way AI manipulates individuals, since the way AI manipulates individuals tends to create echo chambers, virtue theorists such as Aristotle and Sandel would object that this fragments the polis, which in turn is necessary for human well-being. Another consideration is whether relying too much on AI will interfere with our ability to make rational decisions. Although there are skills that most people no longer possess, we really don't miss them. Most of us cannot quote from memory extended passages of literature. We have books for that. Few of us know what a slide rule is, let alone how to use one. We have calculators. There will likely be a time when few of us will be able to read or write cursive handwriting. Then again, we have tablets. Critical thinking is also a skill we have to develop, a virtue, if you will. Unlike the skill required to use a slide rule, critical thinking would seem to be something that is essential to being fully human. What are we if we allow this skill to waste away simply because we have AI? At the very least, we would be more subject to being manipulated and so unable to function as ethical beings. Bias. The current generation of AIs overall and LLMs in particular work by finding patterns with large data sets. If the data set is biased, so will the output. Computer scientists half a decade had an expression for this, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. There are numerous examples. When Google first started training an AI on facial recognition, the AI consistently failed to identify African Americans as people. Tweaking the algorithm didn't help either. As it turns out, the issue wasn't the algorithm. The facial data that was used for the AI to distinguish a human face from a non-human face, or non-faces, was primarily that of white people, lowering the probability that non-white faces would count as belonging to a human being. Kokelberg notes that the program used to recommend prison sentences, COMPAS, based on its evaluation of recidivism, is frequently wrong and tends to err in recommending that African Americans receive harsher sentences than actual outcomes would support. The same sort of thing holds true of diagnostic programs in healthcare, and may also be true of the recruitment and hiring tools used by HR departments. Causes of bias include bias on the part of the trainers, whether they are aware of these biases or not. Confusing correlation with causation. For instance, did you know that ice cream sales correlate closely with shark attacks? However, ice cream sales have nothing to do with shark attacks. Instead, ice cream sales peak over the summer, the same time that people go to the beach. The more people at the beach, the more likely shark attacks would occur. How recommendations are interpreted is also an issue. For instance, most automobile accidents occur within 25 miles of where one lives. From this, one should not conclude either that one should move elsewhere or that there is something about being less careful when one is in a very familiar environment. Instead, most people do most of their driving within 25 miles of their home. The more driving, the more likely an accident. One would think that moving from supervised to unsupervised training would resolve the issue of bias. However, the trainer still has to select the training data. Unsupervised training may make it more difficult for the researcher to distinguish between correlation and causation. One has to ask whether removing bias from AI is even possible or desirable. A data set still has to be selected. If factors such as race, gender, zip code, educational attainment, income, family history, and so on are removed, what's left? Aren't these the things that we want reported on? If we start by giving these different weights, are we not introducing bias? What is more important, describing the bias that exists and so recognizing it or weighing the outcomes in advance to move against it. For instance, Rouse would recommend that if women or minorities are underrepresented in a field, an AI should be adjusted to level the playing field. Yes, some people would not advance as far as they might, but it would work for those who are least advantaged. Bentham would ask a prior question: what results provide for the general welfare? What would make the most people the happiest? Mill might work on a general rule that in all probability, removing biased information would more likely result in finding the greatest talent. Now, try to fill in the blanks for Kant and Aristotle. How does the categorical imperative fit in? What information would be necessary for Aristotle to determine moral desert?